Fuck. You know what that means.
We're live,
We're
baby.
live. We're live. It's WTF Wednesday live on the Chase and Shep show. And it's a big one tonight. It's a big one.
one.
We're stepping up in the world, old Chase and Shep. Because tonight
Moving on up.
we have an actor joining us, Mr. Tyler Jacob Moore. You've probably seen him in Shameless. You've probably seen him in Once Upon a Time, Barry, all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Welcome him to the Chase and Shep show.
By
Tyler
the
Jacob Moore.
way,
and all you people listening and watching all over the world, all over the universe, the space station may be watching this right now, I assume. So
That's right.
yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is so fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
The Midwest connection, you know.
Yeah, you know, honestly, it's like how many more times when I texted a buddy about this, he said the one time living in Catlin gave you a connection. And I said honestly, I think the next time this happens, maybe I'll be that connection for somebody else. Who
there
knows?
you go. That's right. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's is that you could just pass on the Midwest connection, and then eventually all Midwestern people will have
That's
access
right.
to whatever they want to do.
Whatever they want to do.
That's the dream.
Yeah, we're a couple of Catlin boys. I think just a little while ago, you said you've been doing this for 15 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I came out here right after I got back from serving overseas in Iraq. So it was probably, I think it was summer of 06, and it's 2021. So yeah, this summer will be 15 years. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So I guess how did you get into it? How did you get into all of this? I don't know if you and I ever had this conversation or not.
Yeah, that's funny. We've talked a couple of times, and I don't know that I ever actually. It's kind of crazy because everybody I talk to out here has an equally insane story. Because it's like I think it. You know, I don't know. I used to think like I don't know. I got a pretty unique story, but it's like no, everybody has some crazy harebrained spider web. Somehow they got into it, but the gist of mine is I majored in musical theater at Palm Beach Atlantic University. And even when I was in high school, we would do plays. I was, Conrad Birdie and Bye Bye Birdie. And we did. Now, as you know, Catlin doesn't really have a theater program to speak of. Now,
right.
God bless Jim Wolfe and Miss Watson and like a million other people who just like put it upon themselves to have this small town, place basically create a theater program. Because I just happened to have, there were a bunch of kids in my class that were talented and had the desire and the ability. And so they just basically like out of nothing, out of thin air, they were like, well, we're going to have a theater program and we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And it was amazing. It was super fun. But that was my first sort of intro into like acting or even, having any. But then, so basically I majored in musical theater, and then I went back to Lincoln Bible College and majored in biblical studies. And then I signed up for the military after that. And then I basically went directly, I signed up for the National Guard, but I never really served in the National Guard because I went directly from basic training to getting attached to the 3rd ID and served for over a year, 13 months on Operation Iraqi Freedom 2 or 3. I don't know how, I think there's like 6 of them, but so I was in that and did that for about a little over a year, 13 months, something like that. Came back. While I was over there, before I left, I had made a little movie with my brother, and it was like no budget, like similar to some of the stuff you guys do, where it's just, you're running around asking for favors, doing whatever you can do. And so we made this thing, and I left and never thought anything about it. And randomly, one of the guys, the lovely guy, Ira, who was in the movie, his son was a casting associate for The West Wing at the time, randomly. Like, what a weird random thing, So I was overseas. His son saw it and was like, well, the movie's garbage, of course. But but he was like, hey, if Tyler wants to come out to Hollywood ever, I think he might have something. He might be able to do this. You never know.
Yeah.
So I got out of the military. I had some money in my pocket, and I thought, well, I'll go out to LA. It'll be fun, and I'll try my hand, and then I'll come back to Illinois and be whatever. I don't know, whatever. I had like worked at Bungie Corn Mill. I'd helped build log cabins and like help roof, and I just assumed I would just do whatever the typical jobs that you have in the central LA. So
Yeah.
But I came out here, and the first agent I met was Adam Lazarus and at Bauman Redenti and Shaw, and I'm still with him today. He just like I hit it off with them. I think the first thing I booked was an episode of The Unit on CBS, and that got me I think it's Taft-Hartley. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like you if you're not in the union but you want to be and a show wants to hire you, they Taft-Hartley you in to the union, and then you're like sort of booking stuff in. So then from that point on, I just sort of kept booking stuff, and I never left. And like it's pretty much that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the story.
Yeah. I saw something on your IMDb page that said something about the role you got in Ghost Whisperer was written for you. Was it?
Wait, say it again.
It said it was written for you. With you in mind.
At Ghost Whisperer, what I think I believe what happened was I auditioned for the main guest star that week. I had no credits. I had no whatever. Like I was nobody. And the guy that got it had just finished or had booked the Rambo. He was like gonna be the next Rambo or something. Like he was in the last Rambo movie. And so he obviously from like the way casting works is 1 million people audition, 500,000 get, callbacks or whatever. And then like a handful of actors who the casting director thinks are really good get to be seen and sort of get put in the waiting list of potentially being called if the top 5 choices say no. So basically it goes, like the, CBS, NCIS calls Brad Pitt. He says no, obviously. Then they go
on to the next one.
Yeah. Then they get down until they get down to like, I don't know who's that, they get down to like their last choice. And then if he says no, then they go off the casting. And so then you're like, if you were the best actor today or whatever, then you book it. So anyway, that time, like they really liked me, and they obviously weren't going to cast me in this, but they were like, well, let's just like make a part, like let's just like we want you to be in this. So so they just like wrote a little like had a soldier part, and then they just basically like beefed it up a little bit, gave it a few more lines, and it's true, it's crazy.
So we do have a question here.
Oh yeah.
What role was the hardest for you to do, and how do you overcome obstacles like that?
The hardest role to do, I assume Corey means like a booked job, like something.
Yeah, something you've already done.
Okay, I think the hardest thing I had to do was just recently.
You cut out on us.
Check.
Yep. We can hear you.
Can you still? Okay.
Yep, you're all good.
Sorry. So anyway, the hardest job was probably recently. I had to do an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and it is this huge, like it's this very corporate gig where there's 1 million people. It's all the people that are there, the regulars it's very like, they've been doing it for a long time. It's all very, it's not bad. It's just all very corporate. It's all very big, And so I had some dialogue that I had to deliver that was all very like technical. It was all like doctor. I was playing a pharmaceutical rep, and it was about like nodes in some sort of like, I can't even remember now, like a hysterectomy or something. Like there was 1 million like incredibly difficult, not 1 million. There was a handful of incredibly difficult terms, and I thought we had shot my coverage and we were done, and I didn't realize how they worked. And so basically, like, because usually, like typically on a set, you do like wide, and then coverage of whoever's in the scene, and then that's it, you're done. Well, they did it where it was like wide coverage, and then they like went back to wide, and then they went back into coverage, and I was like, my brain, like the dialogue had left. Like at that moment, like after we did all the coverage, did the wide, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like that was tough. I'm glad, got it. And then they're like, okay, now we're gonna do your close up, and I was like, oh, this is gonna go poorly. So there I am, like in the middle of this set of like, you know, all professional, big corporate. It's this big show, and for the life of me, I could not get this like last bit of line, and it wasn't like I just couldn't get it out fast enough. My brain was not firing quickly. Like I was just so tired, and it was there. You know, we were there all day. I think, you know, call was like 4 a.m. or something, and for whatever reason, it was probably the worst work professional moment I've had, where it was just like, you know, for whatever reason, it was just, I was unprepared. I was not like ready for that style. And it was just because it was all very like, you know, everybody's expected to come in, go and do it and leave, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's much different than like indie movies or other stuff. But anyway, it was really difficult. And I think it wasn't so much overcoming it. I don't know how. I mean, I overcame it because eventually you just have to like,
Yeah.
Like no matter how long it takes, like you're going to sit there and everybody's going to stare at you. And so you don't really have a choice. You have to overcome it because like the money, like as the clock ticks, the money's ticking. And so like all the producers are looking at you, and it's this massive, we were on location in a downtown, the Biltmore, I think downtown, beautiful Los Angeles, like huge location, tons of extras, like cameras everywhere. Like you're talking just like hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, as you're sitting there. I don't have it, guys. Sorry, I can't get it.
Sorry.
But I think it's good to know. I think the overcoming is afterwards, when you're like so demoralized as an actor and you're like, oh, that's the first time that's ever happened. This is the worst thing ever. Like my career's over. This is all awful. And for them, it's just a Tuesday. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, like everybody's just, you know, they're there. It's a job. Like, yeah, everybody wants to do a good job. And yeah, you don't want to do a bad job, but everybody has bad days. It's not the end of the world. And so I think that was probably like the worst as far as like professional or job moment.
When I was looking through your credits on IMDb, I wasn't sure if you were on Grey's Anatomy, but when I saw it, I said, of course, you know, you got Grey's Anatomy, you got Private Practice, you got every cop drama ever. As I'm looking at your credits, I go, yeah, you look like a fucking person who's been on all of these shows. you look like we need our stock white guy for the cop or the doctor.
Exactly, stock white guy. That is my typecast. Well, I was gonna say it is an incredible. It is a privilege. Like it is white privilege, like in the truest sense, because I get like a lot of my like actors that I know who are also, you know, of the Caucasian persuasion, get down on this moment in time where the pendulum is swinging the other way, and you're seeing a lot of, you know, minorities and a lot of female-led things, minority things, and I'm like, just calm down, like you're crazy. Like, do you know how many like maybe there's more leads going to that, and good. Like the pendulum should swing the other way because, you know, we've had, I don't know, 2,000 years of you know, having all the parts and all the things, having all the male voice and all the, you know, hetero white dude voice being in charge. So the pendulum probably should swing the other way. But even then, like even in the worst of times, you know how many like cop, lawyer, you know, like security guy number one, like random white dude parts there are? Like, don't like calm down.
You're here for it. You're here for it. You're
like, yeah, you may have to play a bad guy. You may have to play a Nazi. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Gonna happen.
There's more parts for bad.
Play your part, damn it. You know.
That's funny as fuck.
So yeah, you want me to play whatever? Yeah, great. I'm an actor.
Got a couple more questions thrown your way. I think you kind of maybe answered this, maybe not. He said, "What was your main inspiration to be part of the acting movie career?" I think you kind of talked on that a little later.
Yeah.
Or earlier.
If you're interested in the field, main inspiration. Yeah, I would say the main inspiration was just like I I like to make people laugh. I always like to entertain people.
Yeah.
I just nothing was better than like I would do, pratfalls.
And this might tie in his second question, personal role model.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Personal role model. So that might tie in there.
Yeah, I think I never. Well, if it were, I would say early on, if it as far as like just personal, if I never would have met, our fifth grade teacher Jim Wolf, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have even known acting. Like it wouldn't have even been a thing. It wasn't even on. So
I knew acting before Jim Wolf, but he really nourished that, and I don't think it would have become what it became if it wasn't for him.
Yeah,
for sure.
I same. Like he was instrumental in sort of that, and just putting me on stage, being able to say like, oh, you can entertain people. Like you memorize stuff, you say it, you perform, people are entertained. Like it's a great, like so there's no question that was, my sort of initial like intro into that world and inspiration. But then as far as like pros and people I saw, for some reason, I was like a huge Val Kilmer fan as a kid. So like, I mean, even before like The Saint, which was amazing to me, like, Tombstone and even what was the one, Genius?
Real Genius, I think.
Yeah. Like, I just thought he was like, it always seemed like he was just such a good actor. And that was like sort of the first professional actor I saw. And I thought, wow, like that's so cool to be able to like be so genuine. Like you believed what he was, or, as a kid, I was like, that was the first actor that I believed what he was saying. Like on the screen when he was acting, I was like, this like, it feels like this is really happening.
Yeah.
That's so cool. But yeah, like, so I think it was just always wanting to entertain and make people laugh and smile and like bring some sort of joy into people's lives in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
So that's, as far as the inspiration, that's been it. And it still is it to this day. Like, that's the end goal. Like if I would probably be doing this on like, the street in Santa Monica with like a guitar case open, just trying to make people laugh or do, trying to just entertain people.
We got another question here, but I have a question first.
Yeah.
So I am the host here. So you, I say one of your biggest roles was Shameless.
Yeah.
Which I was under the impression that you were only in season 1, but when I was looking today, you came back. You came back for several seasons.
Yeah.
I thought, but I never watched past season 1, which is probably why I didn't know that.
Probably why. Yeah,
it's probably why.
Yeah, they had me back a few times. It was a bit of it was a bittersweet moment in time because after the first season, I think it was after the first season or even mid first season, I can't remember. I had the opportunity to work the show. And the network, like basically there was it wasn't like a bidding war or anything. I didn't have a big part, I had a decent sized part in Shameless, but this network show was offering me like, I had done their, they were recasting from the pilot and they were looking for people. And I went and totally flubbed the audition. It was horrible. They still wanted me for whatever reason. And then I did it. I worked like a guest spot for them as Pastor Tudor on GCB, and they really liked it. I love them. Like it was a great, great show, great group of people, and it was a mutual love affair. And so they wanted to book me for more and more stuff, and it started to conflict with Shameless. And basically, it just got to the point where I had to sort of make a decision, and it was pretty clear that like Shameless is its whole thing. They had a ton of actors.
Well, my question was going to be, how do you feel? It just wrapped up. It's over now.
Yeah, it's funny. I almost tweeted something. Like I sat in my chair for like, I don't know, an hour or two probably, like trying to compose a tweet to like convey my emotions about it, like an idiot. And I just.
Yeah. We won't drop any spoilers here. My mom isn't all caught up yet, so.
Okay. No spoiler. Yeah, it's over. The show is over. That's all.
The show is over.
The show is over, and my main feelings as I was like trying to figure out what could I possibly say was that like it's so people like TV shows come and go all the time. People don't realize what they do for the working people that are on that show. Like if you're on a show for 11 years, you basically bought a house, like had a family, maybe have your kids' college fund, like the gaffers, the actors, the extras, the stand-ins, the whatever, like that, that production provided, jobs and a living and like healthcare and retirement and like all sorts of things for, an entire, I don't even know, like hundreds, maybe in, ever reaching tentacles, maybe even thousands of people. So it's a huge deal. So I thought, that show, that role, and my part in it, the role paled in comparison to the role that the show had in my life. Like I met a romantic partner during the show. Like I had life. Like I learned so much. Like it was my first red carpet, where I looked like they just grabbed a janitor and made him stand there because I had no idea what I was doing. Like it's insane. Like the stuff that you don't know, and I'm so grateful that I got to experience all this stuff, in my 20s, mid to late 20s. So now as an adult, I had this amazing crash course in this whole world. And nobody really saw me. Nobody really, like I wasn't really like that big of a character. So it was really kind of nice because now I have all that, wonderful experience that, is invaluable.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I have nothing but positive things, to say about that whole experience. I mean, I was spoiled basically as far as writing goes because their dialogue is second.
Yeah.
John is all his writing, and anybody who works in his writing room would tell you that like he's a stickler, man. He won't suffer fools, and you better write this dialogue realistic. You better make it, and it better make sense structurally. It all better work. The plot, better be complete and service all these characters, and the characters better be writing in their own voice. And like he's tough, but it's the dialogue. I mean, I'm coming at it from an acting perspective.
Right.
Dialogue is great. Like the dialogue is second to none. So I
definitely enjoy your character in that show as well. So.
Listen.
Not just kissing ass here. That's
Go on.
I confess to not even knowing you were in the rest of the show. So I think actually the first thing I saw you in, it was around the time Jim first told me about you.
Yeah.
So that would have been 2008. I saw An American Carol. That was the first thing I saw you in. Because when I first started all of the film stuff, because I decided I wanted to be a director around 2007.
Okay.
When I first started getting into this, a big portion of that was like parody, spoof stuff. Like I just loved. I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
And now I completely, I
Shep,
never mess with it.
Just so you know, An American Carol was not a great film, made by the guy who made Airplane 2, comedy royalty. I mean,
right.
It's basically like Scary Movie, but like for politics.
Yeah. He got a little political, and it was a sort of a heavy-handed. They were trying to sort of spoof. It was it was after 9/11, and sort of this.
It was a lot of Michael Moore movies. Like it was really based a lot around like making fun of Michael Moore.
Yeah, trying to spoof Michael Moore and his sort of like left-wing movies. And the creators were trying to make like a comedy, funny parody of him, but it was so heavy-handed that it came across as sort of mean and not as lighthearted and fun as it should.
Like a Michael Moore movie.
Yeah.
So I should jump back to this question here. How's acting and filming changed since the pandemic?
Yeah, it doesn't even happen. It was non-existent for basically the whole year, from March when they shut things down, especially here in California. They shut things down completely. Like everything was shut down. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything. And only until they tried a couple months ago, or even earlier than that, like back in maybe the summer or late fall or fall of last year, they tried, like the soap operas tried to start up again, and they used mannequins. So they would have they would do like I'm here talking, and a mannequin, the back of the mannequin's head is here, and they would ask the actors act with this mannequin and also make out with. So you could see they aired some of these shows where they'd be like, oh, with a mannequin, and it was horrible, and it looked horrible, and so eventually they had to say, we can't do this. They had to shut down again. Yeah. So literally, like nothing had been up and running, especially small stuff because there's no budget. So now, Tyler Elves, oh, that's nice. Thank you. So they basically you had to have a huge budget. So like the only things that we're shooting, and to this day, right now, things are starting to start up. Like I would say, 1.5, 2 auditions a week are sort of starting up again. So like you can, like as an actor, I can tell, okay, production has been going for a while. Like things have been ramping up, for a two, but you basically have to have a lot of money. So it's a lot of network stuff. It's a lot of big movie studio stuff, because the indie guys and the medium budget stuff, you still can't afford it because it's adding, a couple $100,000 to TV and a couple $1 million to movies. The COVID testing, the PPE, just as an actor. So from the union standpoint, like if somebody wants to book me in Vancouver or something, they would have to fly me there, sit me for 2 weeks to quarantine. Well, now not so because of the vaccine, but 2 weeks ago or something, like up until recently, they would have to fly you there, put you up, pay for your per diem, and then pay, for however long you were going to be there to shoot. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge cost, so most, I think we still will have to wait until maybe summer or like fall of this year before like small indie stuff can start up again. So there's going to be a real dearth of independent movies coming out from now until probably 2023, sadly.
I feel like, in a way, people that make films on my level are kind of thriving just a little bit here because we don't have those restrictions. We don't have those restrictions, but what we do have is a bunch of out of work actors looking to do something. so it's been pretty easy to get people to come and act in our stuff because nobody's doing anything.
And the union is pretty good. Like it's not crazy. Honestly, as a member of the union, I'm not thrilled with their current rules because you could really pay people nothing. The ultra low budget, all these things. You could get away with paying actors $100 and still be a part of the union, $100 a day or whatever it is, some crazy low amount, and you could still be a union, production. So I say, now, especially now more than ever, for the next year, even, if you're a independent filmmaker or an aspiring filmmaker or anything, go shoot something and submit it to Sundance, Cannes, TIFF. Why not? Because there's always going to be a ton of stuff and it's always going to be a competitive thing. But all the people that have to do stuff and are smart about the logistics of it, they go, well, we're not even going to attempt this because here's exactly what it costs. And for independent, smaller people, they go, well, we don't know any better, and we might accidentally get away with it, and we might accidentally make something, that's fun and good and people like and might get seen. So you never know. Now's the time.
Hey man, it's amazing what you can do with $100 and a bunny costume.
The Easter Sunday. I was gonna say I saw your Easter Sunday thing, and I just want to say you guys don't have to try to make it look low budget.
Well,
listen, I know where you're shooting this. I know what it looks like. You don't have to try. That will come. That will be.
We knew that would come across. We had to be deliberate about some of the shittier elements. The hands left in the corners. I was just telling him, I was like, the one I'm genuinely shocked that nobody ever brings up is when Jesus resurrects me at the end, and I just take the meat off my stomach. I just grab it by the handful, and nobody ever seems to comment on that.
Yeah, you guys, you probably are more geared towards comedy, parody, that sort of stuff. That seems more in your natural disposition.
Well, Phil and I have definitely come to learn that it's just in being such avid film fans and being audience members for so long, and
Yeah.
even still now with the Chase and Shep show, I mean, I still, that's not even a
That's a
eighth
lot.
of my collection. That's nothing.
Right.
I consume so much film that, after a while you start to know how it's all going to go down.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got that as well with being in the industry for 15 years.
Yeah.
Even just watching movies, most people can
Yeah.
watch a movie, especially like, horror movies in particular,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they're lingering on the mirror. I wonder what's going to happen. You come to know the shots. You come to, and that's why I really appreciate movies like Cabin in the Woods. That was a big one for me. That it influenced me because that one I always use as an example of like knowing your cliches, like how to lean into the cliches and create something new out of something old.
Yeah.
Tarantino's made a whole career on it.
That's
And
true.
so, going into something like Easter Sunday, it's like obviously super low budget. It's, there's so, like I was telling my friend today, I'm like, it's funny because somebody can look at this and just be like, you know what, garbage, what horseshit. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we tried. We tried to make it look like horseshit, okay? Like there were times where we were like, this is too good. We got to,
You gotta shoot that again.
we gotta shoot this again. There,
Shittier.
there are scenes that we left in that were like, yeah, we know that our hand is in the corner. We know he moved when he died. Like we know. We also know that we sat and watched 25 Christmas themed horror movies
Yeah. You guys
where
are.
we've seen a lot of this same shit in a lot of movies that actually got money to get
Yeah.
off the
Well,
ground.
that is the crazy part. Is basically the only difference between like anything you guys would shoot and anything that gets produced with all the unions and all the people and all the whatever is there's just more brains to remember to fix stuff or to do stuff correctly. Like
Right.
when you're shooting something, you have to go, okay, I've got to think about the lighting, the wardrobe, the makeup, the hair, the the set, the set design, the performance, I'm missing
Yeah.
the script supervisor, these are like 100 jobs.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
what I told my friend today. I explained it as like if you're a couple of soldiers and you had to pretend to be a whole army, and like you had
yeah,
to make them seem like there's a whole army when there's only two of us.
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
just you can't like there's things that you just cannot do. You
yeah.
can't do like you can only do what you can do. You're only one
That's
person.
been my biggest takeaway these past few years. Is like filmmaking is a team effort.
Yeah,
It truly is.
yeah,
As much as you want to tell a story, you know. If you're not that committed to working as a team, go be an author. Because
yeah.
otherwise, this
Yeah,
ain't gonna fly.
I'm a idealist, dyed in the wool, hopeless romantic when it comes to film being the highest form of art because I just if you empirically I go okay, well, so there's painting and there's songwriting and there's storytelling and there's poets and there's people that sculpt and there's all these forms of art, but only a movie like a beginning to end full 2 hour whatever movie that is not a sequel, not a whatever, like has the full beginning, middle, and end, like that is the highest form of art that we have today. Now, maybe VR will replace it eventually, or like, I don't know, Mass Effect was like voted the best sci-fi work, like there are like things will change, but I still think today, like movies are the highest form of art. So and it's the only art where you have no choice but to collaborate. So
yeah, we've definitely learned that. We can tell you more about it later because we don't want to tell the people yet. But our follow up to Easter Sunday, like we already know going into it, this isn't. We're not going for the 70s vintage shitty slasher film this time. So whereas we are a two-man team where we're like exactly what you said, that whole shoot was just us having to move on. Was just us having to accept it and be like, don't spend a lot of time on it. Move on.
yeah,
Like and if it's shitty, that's fine because that's what this is. That's what this is. But
yeah,
this next thing, we're already like we. I told Shep, I said the motivation I have is if Easter Sunday is what we can do in 2 days with no money, wait till you see what we can do in 2 months with some money.
yeah.
We're gonna really upgrade. Give
Well,
us
I
a
think I
theme.
was going to say, I want to reiterate, I think for anybody like watching this or hearing this or whatever, like I think some people think that there's such a vast space between what you're doing and what, whatever Ryan Johnson, was doing, or, you know what I mean? Like, feel like people who are like wildly successful, making tons of money, making these big budget things. And yes, you know what? It's fair to say that, yeah, the people that are in the industry and people that are doing stuff, yeah, they probably had a rich parent. Like, yeah, they probably grew up in a major city. Yeah, they probably had, or went to an Ivy League school or did all these things or had all these advantages. But that doesn't mean that what they are actually doing is any different than what you are doing. So anybody out there, like you guys, anybody in any town that has 2,000 people, or like all across America, there are people who may want to create stuff or create art and make movies or make any sort of visual, audio visual medium, music, whatever. And they may get discouraged because they think, well, who's going to see it, or what's the point if I can't, make this huge thing? But the art is the point. Like, if you think that if you have an end game for your creating art, just don't, like, it's not really what you should be doing. Like you can't control the end game. All you can do is, like, creating art is the thing. Like that's it. Like, that's all you get. There's no promise of money. There's no promise of anything. There's no, like, George Clooney had to start a tequila company. Brad Pitt hawks, Chanel over in France.
Right.
Like, no
Ryan
actor.
Reynolds, tequila. Matthew McConaughey, whiskey. They're all. I hear. Where's your liquor at? I hear it's the thing right now.
I know. No actor makes money being an actor. Like, every artist makes money doing other things. So it's like, the money is not, like, if you think that if your goal is to be an artist, to paint so that you can make money, or to make movies so that you can make money, well, forget it and do something. But if your goal is to do it because you have fun, it's a passion, you enjoy it, and the act itself is fulfilling, then you're always going to be satisfied, and it's always going to be a worthwhile endeavor, and you should never stop. And who cares if your family sees it, if only like 100 people see it, or if like a college sees it, great. Like maybe one person sees it and it changes their life, or it really speaks to them on some level, or it makes a guy laugh who had a horrible week and was going to, do something horrible,
Sure.
That's all. I'm off my soapbox. Sorry.
No, I completely agree, for sure. I think I told you on the phone the other day that feeling that Shep and I had when we wrapped our shooting on Easter Sunday. Again, it's just a small little thing, but when we were done, Shep worded it perfectly, like getting in the car after a long day at the amusement park. And when he said that, I was just like, dude, yes, that's exactly how I feel right now. And our other friend who shot with us that day, he was having a really bad day that day. And even he was like, man, I can do that forever. This is, and it just felt right. And that feeling we had, that's enough, to keep us going. For as much as, because it can get discouraging. I don't know, Shep, if you have this, but like, there are times where I'm like, it is so easy these days for people to do these things. I know the thing that I've kind of learned recently is everybody wants to make movies and music, but not everybody wants to commit to the level of work it takes to actually, make a career out of it, or, and, they think it's something that you just show up, turn a camera on, and everything's, done.
It's not. I always equate the art, especially the movie, like TV and movie industry in general. I equate it to drumming. Like, most people watch a band and they see the drummer and they go, "Oh yeah, that." And
do that.
be told, most people can carry a beat. Most people can, do a roll or a flam or a paradiddle. Okay,
but
like,
can you drum though?
Yeah, but you can't. But the difference is hard to see when you don't know what you're looking for, or it's hard to, like, quantify. So you can sort of assume that you can do it, but then to actually make that, take that step to do it is a tough thing. And I think, I think the people who do it professionally should be appreciated for that, or their ability to. And also the people who can do it and want to do it should be encouraged, and like try, see what happens. Go for it.
Somebody you worked with whose brain I would just love to pick someday is Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Just reading about him, and because as somebody who deals with an anxiety disorder and everything,
Yeah.
and this guy, I don't know, in a way, he's becoming my hero for this. Just the fact that he worked on South Park and SNL,
Yeah.
two shows that are being produced weekly, with
Yeah.
high anxiety and stuff. And I just want to say, how, man,
Yeah.
how did you do this?
Yeah, he's a great. I think the from the outside looking in, like he is just a worker. Like there's no ego, and I think that is how he has become so successful. Is that he was a PA for years, like he
Yeah,
was here, and then he was on SNL, and even to this day, like he just wants to work and be in the industry and figure out
yeah,
how to make stuff and do stuff. And yeah, like he is so kind. And on that set, we had a big table read for the pilot episode.
mhm,
So it's when you go into the HBO offices, it's all very stuffy and all very professional, and everybody's very nervous because it's HBO. All these big guys, and Casey Bloys, who used to be the head of, I think, comedic stuff, and now he's the head of all of programming at HBO. He was there, and so all these people are in the room, and it was, you could tell like there was a bit of a tension there. And so anyway, we did the table read, and as we all like sort of afterwards, Bill was so kind. He texted me and he was like, "Hey man," or no, he called me, left a voicemail, and then called me. I called him back and he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, Casey Bloys was just like really thought you were great. Like just thought your performance was great, thought you were really great. And I really appreciated that. It was really like, I just wanted to tell you that." Well, that's like, most people, I don't know, like I don't, not a lot. I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of, famous people or people who've done a lot of stuff,
mhm.
and not a lot of people have are so, I don't know, caring or aware in the moment to go, "Hey, I just got this great feedback about this actor. It would be wildly helpful and beneficial to him to hear this feedback. I'm going to call him and I'm going to tell him this." Like he's busy. He was writing, directing, acting. Like he had about 1 million things on his
Yeah,
plate, and take the time to tell one of the actors that was working on his show how, like, what a good job they did and how they were, who they impressed and how that's a big deal, and like how you should be really happy to share that bit of joy and happiness. Like, listen, I still, in my low points, I still think about that, and it carries me, to the next thing, to the next audition or whatever.
that's
And
awesome.
that's a lifetime of support that he just did because it's just what he is. So yeah,
Yeah,
he's
that's
a
awesome.
good role model to have. Yeah.
Good.
Baller.
Awesome. Yeah. We had a question here a little while back, and it's similar to a question I intended on asking you.
Okay.
Any possible future endeavors you're wanting to do? My version of this question, in particular, we do a lot of superhero talk here at the Chase Shep Show. We do love our MCU. We love our DC. I don't know how big of a comic book guy you are, if that's
Yeah.
anything that's ever interested you.
I've had a couple run-ins with the superhero bit. When the CW back years, I don't know when they first started the Flash. I auditioned for the Flash, the Grant,
Nice.
name Grant something. But anyway, that part. And then when Netflix was doing Daredevil, I auditioned for Daredevil.
Wow.
That guy. And in fact, while I was on the set of, I think it was Revenge at the time, I was in the like hair and makeup trailer, and I was like I was like telling him, I'm like, I've got this audition for this like top secret. All Marvel stuff is like,
Oh yeah, we
so,
know.
yeah, they're so top secret, and it's like, all right, calm down. Like, yeah, okay, you got a lot of fans, you make a lot of money, like, but this is not the.
Because of fucking people like us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, no, they're so super secretive. So it's like, but like I have great agents and managers, and they're all very good at like figuring out, okay, here's what this is, here's what you need. And so we found out that it was for the Daredevil, role, and the guy has like darker hair. And so this sweet lady who was working at the hairdresser was like, "Hey, let me help you out. So like after I worked that day, she stayed and like dyed my hair like temporary dye dark just for the audition. Like, and that happens a lot. Like
Yeah.
in good circles in LA, in working, you know, in the working community, people are creative types, just like, you know, you guys. They want to make music, they want to direct, they want to write stuff, they want to just be somehow involved in creating entertainment, art, you know, whatever. And so everybody's helping everybody, doing whatever they can, because they're like, yeah, that'd be super cool. Like, let's help. And they're going above and beyond. So yeah, like it's, but yeah.
If you had gotten that role, I would have been up your ass. You'd be getting so many phone calls from me if you were Daredevil.
Yeah, I had a couple brushes, and then and even with like, so the latest Captain Marvel, I went in for like just a little tiny, you know, bit thing. But it's so yeah, it's all like, as an actor, it's funny because some stuff is wildly popular and like makes you famous or makes people know you, and some stuff nobody cares about and you would never see. And as an actor, you're just like, well, it's all just the same. Like you know, like you're playing a part, you're doing a role, you're figuring out a character,
right?
You're doing the best you can, and you're figuring out, you know, like it's the job is the job. So like whether you're doing something that nobody sees or whether you're doing something that like everybody sees and loves, the job doesn't change. So I always find it funny when there are actors or people who act as if they are like more important, or they are, you know, like there are celebrities and there are people who act like celebrities, you know what I mean? Like they wear dark glasses and the hats and they don't want to be seen, and they want to, you know, they act, you know, cool. And it's like, listen, you know, I understand getting like I had a touch of that early on, where, you know, I was dating somebody, and so we had like, there were like paparazzi, and you had to deal with like some of that stuff. And it's not that it was a real great crash course for me, because it was sort of like, yeah, these are just people doing a job. Like you treat them like humans and they act like humans. Like if you're on a date and somebody pops out of the bushes and wants to take a picture, you can talk to that person like a human. You don't have to like beat up, or you can say, hey, you know, we're on a date. We're, you know, we really weren't like, we weren't prepared to have our pictures taken and like put it in a magazine or something. So could you just like not, you know, tonight, and maybe next time we'll see you, remember you, and like, you know, do a slow walk or something. And most people are genuinely, you know, nice and like to do that, but you have to treat people like humans. And I think sometimes, like I said, sometimes people who are on stuff that is popular forget that the job is the same, and we're all just, you know, skilled craftsmen, but not unlike, you know, drywallers. You know, like it's a union gig. Like we're workers, you know.
So are there any like characters in particular that interest you? Like something that you'd be like, oh, I'd love to do this.
I was pissed when they did because I loved Eddie Brock, like the original, you know, that the cartoon, the Spider-Man cartoon, and the Eddie Brock character. I think Venom was like the first comic book I had. Venom, and then Wildcats, I think, was a big comic book I was into. But yeah, like Venom, I always thought, you know, I would put on the pounds and I would do it. Like if it was ever even in the realm of possibility, like to do an Eddie Brock, like
Spiderverse, my man,
I would do it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, you never know. Crazier things have happened. And it's funny. I was talking to Chase, I don't know, maybe a couple of days ago or something, Shep, and I mentioned that like it's so funny when you talk about stuff or these big things happen, and you never know who you come across who ends up like doing these big things. Like I was saying, I worked with a producer on Barry, who she just wrote like a, you know, New York Times bestseller, like and like is this great author, and it's like I didn't know she was just, you know, a assistant, you know, like walking around. You would have never. And then there are actors who you meet on sets who have their own scripts and their own ideas. And they're at the time, like I worked with a guy in GCB who just came in and did a guest spot, and he was, you know, fine and lovely. And now he's a regular on an NBC show and like doing great. And it's just really you know, you just never know, you know? So yeah, it's entirely true. I think once Tom Hardy passes you know, decides to pass the baton, I'm going to gain about 30 pounds maybe. And then,
Hey, you got our support.
You thought
Yeah.
our support
all day.
I appreciate it. I always wanted, yeah, I would do the New York, the New York accent and do the tough, like, like Eddie Brock and that character. Yeah, that was the one I always was like really into, or really in the back of my head thought, man, if I could like get to the point in my career where they were ready to do that and I could just get in the room for it,
Well,
but I mean, yeah, I'm not opposed to superhero stuff. I think
we'll make a fan film if we have to.
Yeah,
We'll just, at the end of the day, just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just do it yourself.
Yeah, we might run into some licensing issues with that, but yeah.
I looked into it recently. I was like, how far can we get with some of this?
Yeah, how much of a fan film can you make? And like,
well, like they did a, I want to say it was a Punisher fan film that they got Thomas Jane to come back and like be the Punisher and stuff. And they actually did a Venom short film, or like a fan film, a little while back, because it was like this very subtle.
I remember, wasn't it Ryan Quanten?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah. The guy in True Blood. Sidebar from that, like he's the guy who got the part that I got sent for that for Alan Ball's True Blood, and I said no to even auditioning for that because you read the script, it was so grotesque. I was like, this is horrific. Like, who's gonna watch this? It was like a bunch of vampires and werewolves like raping each other. I mean, it was blood everywhere, like nudity, like full front, like it was insane. The script was insane. I read it and I was like, oh, this is insane. Like, nobody's gonna like this. There's no way this is gonna be successful. This is horrible. Meanwhile, True Blood like goes on as it runs for like 10 years. All of a sudden, I know nothing. I know nothing about what people will like.
So it's a good one. We run usually. This is probably the most tame WTF Wednesday we have had in weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
In weeks, we've Wednesdays for the weird. So usually we like to.
Well, listen, I got all sorts of weird stories about like the only horror movie I ever did was Slumber Party Slaughter.
Which you were right, man. I looked everywhere for that movie. It is nowhere to be found.
Never find it. Nobody will ever. I challenge the internet. Find Slumber Party Slaughter. You won't find it. It doesn't exist.
Please let us know.
Tom Sizemore, Robert Carradine, a bunch of fun, like it was to this day the most insane shoot I've ever been a part of. Rebecca Cheney, who was a sweetheart. She's, I believe, the granddaughter of Lon Chaney, the famous monster, guy who basically like came up with the look for all, vampire, like Frankenstein, like everything, like just brilliant. But anyway, his granddaughter made this, was the director of this movie, and it was a bonkers shoot. It was like it was a crazy, like they had fake breasts blowing up. They had like people dying by crazy like horror movie, trope ways. I mean, it could have been. I mean, I honestly, to this day, I would like to see it. I would like to see the end product. But it was that was the first time that I came across like a method actor who was like detrimental to the production. Robert Carradine, he's the guy who Revenge of the Nerds, like that guy.
Yeah,
his brothers. He's from like Hollywood royalty. Like the Carradines are in everything. So Robert Carradine was doing like he was method. He was going to be like in character, and he was doing like this Travis Bickle, like sort of weird psycho routine. And the first time that I met him, I didn't really meet him. I met whatever he was doing. He came into the makeup trailer and walked up to the actor. Like we were all in the makeup trailer, and he walked up to the actor, like sitting in the makeup chair, shoved the actor out of the chair, and pardon my French, he said, "Get the fuck out of my chair," and was dead serious and crazy mean. And we were all like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." And he just sat down on the chair and didn't move and was like, "Do my fucking." And then so makeup lady comes up, "Not you, get out. I want the head lady. Nobody's gonna." I mean, just going off, like yelling at everybody or whatever. People are like, whatever. And Rebecca, bless her heart, was like, he's wanting to do meth, like he's wanting to be this guy. Yeah. I don't want to like mess him up, but we have to shoot stuff. So that was just like the first instance of something. Then the second instance that he did something crazy was we were in this big like strip club shoot, and everybody's there, extras and everything. And one of the actors was like maybe 2 minutes late, like literally not late at all, like perfectly within the realm of
right.
no big deal. Robert Carradine walks into the set and he says, I'm going back to my trailer and I'm going to sit for 2 hours and you guys can't do anything without me because it is unprofessional to show up late. He's like cursing out. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. He was cursing out this actor, this young actor, maybe like about my age. In fact, this actor, lovely guy, he's working on Tyler Perry show right now, I think. But anyway, the actor was just like dumbfounded. And Robert Carradine's like, you are unprofessional and lazy and you're never going to work in this town. And I'm going to show you what not being on time does. And he walked in the trailer, and wouldn't come out. The producers, like everybody had to come out. We're wasting, like, this is costing a ton of money. The shooting on film, like at the time, this was, like right at that age where film was still like the thing to do.
Yeah.
So this, whatever, maybe not like 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. But anyway, so it's costing them money. They've got this whole big set, all these extras, money is burning as this guy is having his diatribe. So they finally get him to come back. He shoots the scene or whatever. Then the next day he takes that same actor out to Red Lobster for lunch. And doesn't come back for like 3 hours, makes the whole production late again. Then he gets this is throughout the production. He's getting crazier and crazier. He gets to the point where he shows up on set one day with a gun, like a loaded gun. And because they had written him out, they basically were like, well, we can't, he's costing us so much money and this is horrible. So they write him out. He gets the script and finds out that he's written out. He shows up with a gun. Now, apparently, Robert Carradine is some sort of deputy sheriff in that county or something. He's, according to him, this might be true. This is all hearsay, who knows? But he shows up with a loaded gun and is like, you can't do this to me, and is waving this gun around in the director's face. The sheriff had to be called. He left. And so the county sheriff was on the set, watching base camp for the duration of the shoot so that he couldn't come back. Crazy. And that was just one actor. Tom Sizemore was also in that movie. And Tom Sizemore, one time I saw him walk up to an actor. One of the guys who was playing a bouncer at the club or whatever was a huge fan of Tom Sizemore. Loved him, thought he was amazing. I mean, he's a great actor. He's been in so many great things. Saving Private Ryan, he's great. So this actor started walking up to him with his hand outstretched, walking towards him and saying, "Tom, hey, I'm just a big fan. I really appreciate, it's so nice to meet you." Tom Sizemore stops, turns on a dime, and walks the opposite direction. Doesn't say a word, doesn't do anything, goes back to his trailer. And he would basically stay in his trailer for the duration of the shoot until it was time to shoot. He walks in there, do his thing, walks straight back to the trailer. It was bonkers. And there were all sorts of crazy stories. I walked through the set one day, late, and there was a bunch of girls in a room, and I don't know what was going on. They were maybe shooting some, I don't know what. I don't know who was financing it. They would hand out cash randomly to people to say good job. It was almost like the mafia. It's possible the mafia was producing. I don't know. And it's also possible.
That's probably why we can't find the movie either. If they don't want us to find it, we're not going to.
I was just going to say, there's probably a good reason why nobody has ever seen any footage of this. I was dating somebody who was a decent, size celebrity at the time, and they offered her a couple $100,000 in a suitcase just to show up and do a walkthrough, in the scene. They're and she's like, "This is insane. These people are crazy." That's not the norm. That's not what normally happens on a set of any kind.
Horror movies, man.
But yeah, I would love to see it. I would love to do more horror stuff. It was super fun to be on that set and do that stuff. But I agree with you as far as what was the Cabin in the Woods? is like that style where it's like you mix in a little bit of comedy, a little bit of top, and but you still can have scary, stuff. Like, yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Phil recently about how, like I just said earlier, when I started as like wanting to be a filmmaker, because I wanted to be an actor first, and that was all on Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I loved Jim Carrey, and I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to just be the funny guy. I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
And then 2007 rolls around, and the movie that made me want to be a director was Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. And I just happened to really get into the bonus features and like get into this director, and that was the first time I really looked into it. So like a lot of everything that Phil and I originally started writing was based in comedy. We like the parody stuff, we like the spoof stuff. Fast forward, it's been 15 years now probably, and I cannot write straight comedy to save my life. Like I cannot do comedy without doing something else. I have to do horror or drama or something to get comedy out of it.
It doesn't come to you, or you have tried it and it's not good. Like you don't like what you're doing.
It's like it doesn't come to me like it does. Like I can still be funny on the fly. We can still improvise, a lot of stuff. But anytime, in a script, when it comes to writing jokes and stuff, like I can do lowbrow. Most people can. You stoop low enough, you can get some laughs. But like I can't do it, man. I have to write like a different genre in order to achieve the comedy, because I think that always works better. Like I love a good a drama that's infused with some comedy. Even there have been times where I've made straight comedies, but then these other genres are like, we're coming in to assist.
Yeah, comedy's hard. Ask anybody. Comedy's the hardest thing to do because you're writing a story plus punchlines. Like drama is comedy without writing the joke. So
yeah, I've said I could go give the State of the Union right now and not bat an eye, but I've done stand up before, and that is not. It's It's hands down the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I was, back that previous question somebody asked about like what would you like to do. I think I am going to start transitioning into more comedic stuff. Randomly, what?
I have to throw this comment out here.
That's hilarious. Thank you, Sharky Malarkey. I assume that's your real name. God-given Sharky Malarkey. I'd love to meet the Malarkey family. They sound like just nice, good salt of the earth people. The previous question about like what I would like to do, I'm going to start doing more comedy and improv stuff. There are avenues you can pursue, like you can do Citizen or Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yeah.
And like out here, there are avenues where you can sort of flex those muscles. And I never really did. As a kid, I always liked making people laugh, and I really enjoy comedy, and I'm sort of like a comedy crackhead, in that like I listen to comedy podcasts like religiously. Comedy Bang Bang, and like I love Andy Daly, and like they're just brilliant. Like their improv is just on a whole nother level, and I just think it's fantastic. But I was fortunate enough to do this production company I've with for a couple movies. They let me do this Netflix movie. It's on Netflix right now. Wheels of Fortune.
Wheels of Fortune. Yeah.
Yeah. And they sort of let me do this ridiculous, like mullet having, like redneck misogynist, like guy. And it was so fun. And that was the most fun I've had, being able to like let go and do, like come up with ridiculous, like, I don't know why, but ridiculous things come into my brain. And it's hard for me to read when I do dramatic scripts. When you read them, sometimes, especially the ones like the low budget stuff and whatever, sometimes it's hard for me not to do like a comedic reading of it, because I'm like, oh, well, this is ridiculous. Or, oh, like I immediately think like, well, this is hilarious, but it's not. Like they want you to be serious.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, like there's a lot of those, like, Hallmark, I'm not, digging on any of those. Like, listen, I'm love to work on.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I've done a Lifetime movie, and I've done a like Up, like a Christmas movie that are in that vein. But that style, you know, they're meant to be serious, and they're meant to like, you know, it's for that audience who's very serious, and they're wanting romance, they're wanting charm, and they want to say those lines like "I've loved you forever," or you know, those lines, you know, like "You had me at hello," or whatever. It's like there's, you know, and me, like the funny person in me is like, well, I can't say this sincerely,
Right?
Yeah.
you know. But like some people, I mean, some actors are really good at it. Like there are actors who like consistently book that stuff because they're just really good at being completely sincere and genuine and delivering those lines that are, it's hard to deliver in a, you know, in a serious way.
What was I watching the other day? There's something I watched the other day, and I was like, I have no idea how they managed to keep a straight face during all of this. But I know one for sure. We watched Freaky not too long ago with Vince Vaughn and Catherine Newton.
Oh
the horror version of Freaky Friday.
Yeah, was that good or not? It looked good. Like
we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it quite a bit. I really like Vince Vaughn, but there's a scene in this movie that I'm just like, mad props to the kid in the scene with Vince Vaughn for keeping a straight face.
Really?
The whole bit is Vince Vaughn, you know, the girl is inside Vince Vaughn's body. Yeah. He's in the back of the car with like the crush. And they have this whole romantic moment. I'm like, there's no way they're doing what they goes the whole way. They have their first kiss when he's in Vince Vaughn's body. And it's just so funny because of just how serious they're playing it. Yeah. And I'm like, this kid is amazing. Just the fact that he was able to to save face with Vince Vaughn acting like this, and he makes such a convincing teenage girl trapped in Vince Vaughn's body.
That is insane. It's great. To have to do a romantic scene with Vince Vaughn, where you have to act as if he is like your girlfriend,
right? This beautiful blonde girl your own age.
Like, give that kid all the Oscars. Like, they really should. You know, like it's so funny. I vote in the SAG, like our union does the SAG awards every year. And so they give you all the screeners, and they, you know, you get to vote on who wins what. And it is the most depressing time of year because everything that the critics like is like, the Black lesbian woman who's fighting the Nazis and has a handicapped child.
They just did a bit on this on SNL the other night, the lesbian period drama.
Yes, yeah. It's so true, and they did it, and it's funny. Bill Maher did a joke about it.
Yeah,
about how like it's just they are like these movies, and I've felt this way for years. Like every time award season rolls around, I'm like, oh, I feel like it's part of my duty to sort of like, as a union member, to like, okay, I should like watch these things and have a vote and like make us, you know, have a say and you know, but man, sometimes it's a slog because almost none of them are uplifting.
Yeah.
Like almost none of them. I mean, they may have like an uplifting message, but the actual movie itself is so.
I still haven't gotten to a lot. That's what I'm getting ready to do this next week or so before the Oscars gets here. I need to start doing my catch up because I think I'm doing a live stream for the Oscars. I'll be here doing a little live Oscars thing. Do what?
I said, does Shep know about this?
Shep knows. Shep knows.
I know. I'm aware.
Bringing back the old Chase Scene Sundays that we canceled back in season 2, just for the night, just for the one night, just for Oscar night.
I want to make sure you weren't cheating on Shep. Like,
no. Sometimes we fly solo.
Okay, got you. Yeah, Shep.
I did say today though that for our Easter Sunday follow up, I really have to step up my game because you got all the best lines in Easter Sunday. Like I know most of it was improv, but you threw out so many great one-liners that I was like pissed that Easter Bunny didn't talk.
Well, I was gonna say, was that all your improv, Shep?
Yeah, all of it. We didn't write
everything you saw.
That's great. Yeah, that's super funny. I mean, they almost every comedic thing or even dramedy thing I've done, you know, like allows for some, you know, like if you get a great line or you have a great idea, and most of the time, like a lot of actors do have really great stuff to add. So obviously of Shep's quality, you know, you're going to get gold every time.
Oh, you know.
Just let him go.
Yeah, they did an interview a little while back. I think it was one of the variety, like Actors on Actors or something like that, or so one of those. And it was Judd Apatow and Jason Bateman were talking. And I know one of my early like influences as far as being a director and stuff was definitely Judd Apatow. To this day, I still really like his stuff.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how you've got somebody like David Fincher who's like 100 takes.
Yeah.
And
do it. Yeah.
Judd Apatow said, "I can't imagine doing a movie where something doesn't change 1,000 times, like on set." And I think I exist somewhere right in the middle. Like I'm very like lenient. I love to see what actors bring. I encourage improv, but there are definitely times where I'm like, just stick to the script.
Well, the best directors I've worked with, I mean, my, personal opinion, of course, but like are the ones that do, they do a take where you get, the exact dialogue they do. And then they'll do a couple where they get it exactly the way they want it, exactly how to say it, the exact words, the exact everything. And then once they're happy and they feel like, okay, I've got this, they'll do one for you. Yeah. So, and that's what they call, one of the guys that directed a lot of Shameless, Mark Mylod, he would always say, okay, one for you, go do whatever. And it could be whatever, like you could just go, ham, you could, whatever, like whatever you say, whatever, do whatever. And if it happened to be the best, the best one, they would use it, and then some directors would just say that, some directors will just say that and they just use all of their stuff.
Yeah, right.
Like, don't want to deal with this actor, having their 2 cents. So yeah, do whatever you want. We'll use it, and they won't. But yeah, like a lot of good directors will, if it's legit good. I think that's the best people. It's been my experience that the higher up the chain you get, the smarter, the better, the kinder, the better person personally and professionally, just better people. So it's almost impossible to be a huge jerk and be successful, because especially like TV and stuff, because you have to see those people every day. So right. If you're a jerk, like if you can do movies because you're, like that's a set, you work for 6 months or work for a year and then you never have to see that person again. So you still see probably some like jerky, personal, people that are jerks in their personal lives be really successful in movies, but like TV and streaming stuff, like if you have 6 or 7 years and you're on set every day with somebody who's a jerk, you just like, you're going to
gets old.
Yeah. You're just going to die.
So we've run over a little bit here, but Shep, do you have any questions?
Nah, anything that popped up that I was going to ask, other people would ask. So I was like,
I know everybody else is wanting to host our show tonight.
Yeah.
Matt, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I liked it. I like that you popped the thing up at the bottom there, so I can read along and see what who asked what. It's a fun. I like this format.
Hey man, we're trying to spruce it up every little bit we can.
You guys are doing good stuff. Yeah, I wish I had more to speak on in the music industry or the Shep, but I'm very ignorant of it. I took piano as a kid. I can play chopsticks. That's. I was in a Christian rock band when I was in Palm Beach called After 3. We were not good. And we would play local bars in West Palm Beach, Florida. And it was, I think, looking back on it, very funny. Like, I think it's one of those cases where accidental parody, like you would, like, we were very deadly serious. And if I was an audience member at like if I was a local at a small bar in Florida and these kids came in and performed their hardcore rock, Christian rock, I would have laughed out loud. Like we made it.
That's right.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So that's my experience. I was a drummer for a Christian rock band and it was literally like, it was when Creed was like all the rage and like
it's a lot of mixed messages. The drummer in a Christian rock band was.
Yeah, and we were like wearing all black and like hardcore, like we were attempting to be hardcore Christian. I don't know. Like, yeah, I listen. It was so yeah. I have probably negative experience in the music industry. So I apologize for that lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you have to sacrifice anybody.
Yeah.
Shouts out.
Sacrifice to get
Shout outs to John.
Jonathan. Is it McEwen? McEwen? How
It's
do you say?
Jonathan. It's Jonathan Nightmare McEwen right there.
Okay.
He's
Nightmare.
he's a regular around here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, old Johnny Nightmare. He's got the acting bug real bad.
Oh yeah.
He's looking forward to getting involved with some future Chase and Shep
Hey, look,
acting stuff.
yeah, you need actors because I've seen your acting, Chase. So you should probably
It's because I'm wearing 50 different hats all at once.
listen.
I gotta
Well,
focus. That's why I was telling Shep. I said I'm really glad that we're doing this now. I have somebody I can trust on screen, so I can kill myself off early on and continue to just bring myself back to life in the last episode or whatever. Where it was perfect setup.
You know, that's exactly what happens out here. Is you have people who like want to write, direct, like, you know, act or whatever their initial thing is. And then in the industry that's so big, and like we were talking about earlier, there's so many jobs on a set.
Yeah.
Like, one person's job is literally to make sure you say the right lines and like know what, like where the camera's pointing and like what you're wearing. Like there's one person's job to hold the sound mic, like not even the sound. He's not even like tweaking anything. He's just holding it. But the guy, if you get a guy who's good, it makes a huge difference. Like he knows how to angle it. You'll never see the boom in the shot. He'll turn it upside down. He'll point that thing perfectly at your mouth. Like he'll turn it off when you don't need it. Like you won't have any issues. Like there are people who are experts at like jobs that you are like, don't even, you know, you have a million things on your plate, you know, when you're trying to make stuff. So it's just like, that's the difference. Like all those thoughts in your head that are like, oh, I wish we could bounce the light up. Yeah. Well, on a set, there's a guy who's literally
There's a guy doing that right now. He's doing it right now.
Yeah, he's holding a bounce, like just getting that light just right, and that's his job. Like, and if you had that, well, then obviously, you know, like it would look different. It would be different.
I used to have that, and his name was Shep, but now he's acting in all my shit, and I don't have anybody to hold any of these things.
That's what you do. Bring people in, whatever their passion is. Tell them, yeah, I've written this part for you. You're going to be the star. You're going to whatever, and then slowly but surely guide them to holding the boom mic. Just slowly.
That's what we do. We got to start tricking. Everybody wants to be a cast member. Let's start tricking people into being crew members.
You make everybody a cast member. Give everybody a line.
It's initiation.
And say, listen, I need you for 2 weeks. You're going to act, but I'm also going to need you there every day, 8 a.m.
I hope you're listening, John. This is
John,
what you're going to have to do.
You get to be in it, but you gotta hold a cart. You gotta hold an apple box. You gotta do the lighting. You gotta hold the camera.
We're threatening the wrong person. He'll do all of this. John is a beast. The shout out he deserves is that he's trying to put acting on a resume that already includes so much. He's working on getting his master's in psychology. He's a boxer. He's a musician. He does a lot. He's a dad. He runs the gamut, man.
Well, that's what, I was just going to say real quick. My brother used to do like movie weekends where you would have like every like all your friends or anybody that was interested in doing anything like movie creative wise. Mm-hmm. Like you would go to a location for the weekend and you would all write, you would all act, you would all hold, do all the other parts of the crew. And that really would give you a much higher production value because you would have somebody, like let's say they wrote a scene and then you would hold the boom mic for them, or they, like you would be there. It's almost like the old school acting troops. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something to the idea of having this new school, new age where you're right. Anybody like the newest iPhone can shoot in 4K, 60 frame, like what, you could put it in IMAX and it would look good. So, maybe that's the new world that we live in, where you should have like these acting troupe, like creative troops in your town and wherever you live, and get everybody together that wants to do stuff and help each other do your, thing. I may not want to hold the light, as a profession,
right.
all the time. But if I'll do that for this guy, so that then he'll do it for me, and you get like 15 or 20 people together to do that, and your production value could go like be.
It's probably going to be a lot of that on the next Chase and Shep production.
Yeah.
A lot of passing off the jobs.
Yeah. Get a bunch of people who just want to create stuff and just love it and don't give a crap about, how to do it or whatever. And they just enjoy it. And then, you never know. You might make something that gets seen by something and somebody watched something, and then you might get a bigger budget. And then before you know it, you're Tarantino.
Hey, Chase and Shep show, we're all about the process and growing. I mean, last week I was in a bunny costume. This week we're talking to a man who's been on every cop drama that exists.
Yeah, that's right. I could tell you what they're serving: NCIS Miami, NCIS Los Angeles, CSI Vegas. They got good crab cakes over at. No, I don't know.
Well, that was our time a little bit ago, but it's a special episode. We'll run a little long. Whatever.
I'm grateful you guys. It's so nice, super fun. I hope this thing blows up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and again, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
A little late on the questions here. We're closing down the show.
Did you meet Nick Wolf, executive producer on Law and Order?
You would think for all the like procedurals that I've done, at some point I would have like come across that guy, that he makes everything. But weirdly, I've always been more of a Viacom guy. Like the NBC Universal crew, for whatever reason, I never really got into their world. Like all the Law and Orders and the special victim units and the exactly. Exactly, Tyler. Yeah. Never got to do the dun dun. Never got to like die and have the dun dun. Never.
Never.
Nope.
Hey,
it's on the bucket list though.
Something to look forward to.
That's right. Lord willing.
We'll start the hashtag.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Hey, well, we have to start the Tyler Jacob Moore for Venom.
Yeah, there you go. Let's give Tom a couple more years. I think.
Thanks for giving Chase and Shep something to live for. We're going to strive for this.
Hey, I love it.
In the movie where I get Donald Glover to play Spider-Man, we'll say, hey, we know an Eddie Brock.
That's right. Hey,
we know an Eddie Brock.
I'm down for sure.
Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you here in a second.
Yeah.
Everybody else, thank you for joining us tonight for the show. Everybody who commented, thank you. Thank you, Corey. Everybody. Peace. We'll catch you on Friday.
See you Friday.